Hey everybody, it's Busted Strategies number 38, jumping into another Innistrad draft. Looks like we got the coins for it this time. Pretty cool. Feels like feels like a win whenever you just have the coins. Alrighty, so let's get to it. Yeah, hope you all are having wonderful days out there. Your fantasy football team is successful. You know the important things in life. Started Darnus Johnson across the board, so I'm feeling pretty good. Probably, I guess this sounds weak if you're one of these people that picks up the video like 2, 3 weeks down the road, but it's much more relevant right up at release date. All right, what are we waiting on? Oh shit, we're waiting on me. Everybody's bitching about that one guy. That one guy's me this time. So, all right, let's see what we can do here. Fairly interesting pack. Dire Stain Rampage, we're not really ever going to play. This is a constructed card, and so we can move away from it, and then there's no removal spells in this pack either. So, what do you do? What do you do in a situation like this? And so there's a few different ways you could look at this, because if you're just under the guise of, well, I just have to draft Esper, then Candlegrove Witch is your take. I think these other cards are just a little bit too strong to just immediately jump in with the Candlegrove Witch, and that unfortunately just kind of like forces us into either red or green. And I'm not opposed to that. That's kind of the way I feel like a lot of these drafts go. Kind of the strategy we've been talking about a lot over the past week or so is being in this place where we're going to play one color out of Esper and then either red or green. And I would rather just start out with Seize the Storm here. There's just a big pile of good red decks that can kind of come out of the Seize the Storm. This is the kind of big build around card as far as blue red is concerned. And so I'm happy enough to come in and take it, knowing that we can potentially just build around it right from the start. Okay, so moving on to the next one. This has like been a fairly weak set of early packs. There's nothing you can do about that. But again, like the playables in this style of card would be like your Eccentric Farmer, your Ecstatic Awakener, the Castaway, the Flesh Taker, and the Candlegrove Witch. And if we're gonna start trying to like tie everything together with Seize the Storm, the only playable one here would be Covetous Castaway. Boros doesn't play well with Seize the Storm. Red Black doesn't play well with Seize the Storm. It's essentially blue red or bust as far as Seize the Storm goes. The other option here is to just take the Flesh Taker, which is the most powerful card in the pack. But I think I'm good with the Castaway. This guy's pretty strong. Even if we're in blue red, it's fine. He's a great discard target, but he's also good in the Disturb deck. He's good in blue green. He's good pretty much across the board. Okay, so again, another fairly weak pack. How do we position ourselves with this one? And so the black cards not real interested in. As far as blue goes, I mean, Otherworldly Gaze has its uses. It's not a card I'm really looking to be picking up. Pack 3, pick 1. I think in this kind of space, the question is, do we want to just go with the raw power in Sacred Fire, or do we want to maybe position ourselves towards a Disturbed deck with the Covetous Castaway along with the Morning Patrol? And I'm just going to go with the Morning Patrol here. It is, pretty high valued and powerful to be taking these Sacred Fires, but this is the kind of card I'm really looking to kind of pick up on the wheel or pick up on like pick 6 or pick 7. And not have to invest these early picks in it. Boros isn't something I really want to be forcing. It's something I want to be taking just because it's open. And so I think that's okay. The cards here still look pretty good. Nebelgast Intruder doesn't have Disturb, but it's a high quality card objectively, and it's a spirit. So that could be nice. We are kind of looking as though Disturb is possibly open with this Lunarch Veteran still being here as well. This is about the space where I tend to like the veterans, but again, like these cards are all pretty weak. I don't feel like we're missing out on too much. It just feels like a really weak open in terms of cards. So, okay. Interesting, though. In the Spellrune Painter, I believe this is where we want to go. I want to still, kind of keep in mind that we could be drafting blue-red. We have the Seize the Storm, and then the Spellrune Painter is fantastic in the Festival Crashers style deck, as to where We're going to use the Painter, the Festival Crashers, maybe the Dragon will show up. Going to use like cards like Startle to really get them popping off, and then close the game out with Trample attacks with Stolen Vitalities. I could definitely see this being good. I could see an argument for just picking up the Startle. The Startle is going to play well in both blue, white, and blue, red, but I think I want to just go for the high power pick here. We can definitely pick up a Startle later, should that be the kind of thing we're looking for. Okay, well, more Sacred Fires rolling around. Somebody's definitely going to be getting one of those. But otherwise, a fairly weak set of cards. I think we just have to go with the Consider here. We'd probably play it in either blue, white, or blue, red. I think we do at least need to kind of consider ourselves to try and be a base blue deck here. I don't think, as far as those early cards go, that we were really being like pushed out of it. I think it was just a bad set of cards that were opened up here. So with this, we'll take the Gavany Trapper. I don't really want to play Immolation and blue-red. I don't really want to play Unblinking Observer outside of blue-green. And the Trapper will still be a strong card if we end up in blue-white. Okay, well, it's not an exciting Abandon the Post, but this is kind of one of the key cards to the blue-red deck. If we're going to go big with the Spellrune Painter and we tell our opponents, board they can't block while potentially giving it +4/+4 on the flip side. It's all around pretty strong set of plays. Okay, not a lot here. I'm just going to rare draft out of this one. I really only want, I will play Pax Betrayal, but I really only want one of, Gotta let a cat out of the room. Now she's just going to sit there and stare. But, alright. Oh. I really only want one between Pax Betrayal and Abandon the Post. Abandon the Post is the better one, and we already have one. So we'll pick up the rare. These cards, not interesting. We'll pick up the Otherworldly Gaze. This is another card to where, if we need to really double up on spells for Spellrune Painter, we can do it. But then this deck also tends to kind of land on Delver of Secrets, and this is another enabler for the Delver. It tends to play reasonably well in these decks. I'm not a huge fan of the whatever the other card there was. Stolen Vitality, again, important card in these packs. Lambolt Harrier is a dude. And the last pick in the pack locked in the Cemetery, pretty interesting in terms of. In terms of being a playable blue card and making it to the last pick. But here, these cards, Patrician Geist is extremely good if we land in blue-white. Does really give us incentive to draft blue-white, just turning all of our Covetous Castaways and Morning Patrols and such into a bigger unit. But at the end of the day, if we just end up with a Wind Drake, it's fine. It also has this bit of text on the bottom of it where, spells you cast from your graveyard cost one less. So it can be a bit of ramp for our Seize the Storm type cards. So happy enough to take here. Okay, and so the first, real question of the draft. We have lots of very powerful cards here, but the three that we're really eyeballing are going to be Overwhelmed Archivist, Gale Rider, and Moonrager Slash. Now, I'll immediately concede that I think the Archivist is just stronger than the Whale Drifter. You tend to be able to just pick up Whale Drifters anyways, but this cycle ability or loot ability is quite good in these style of decks. Just get a little bit of card quality and maybe discard some flashbacks and stuff. But the other thing here is we got a Moonrager Slash, which is the premier red removal spell, and we haven't really decided if we're going to be in blue-white or blue-red, but I think we're going to be landing in red here today. And if we're going to land in red, I'm going to take the Moonrager Slash. Hope we wheel the Gale Drifter. It's kind of a big ask to trying to wheel Gale Drifters, but I could potentially see it happening here when we're seeing those blue cards show up quite late. Let me switch this out to this view real quick. Rager Slash 3, Vitality, Post, Cemetery, Silverbolt in the Don't Want to Play pile. Something like this. Okay, so the thing I'm kind of looking at here, we do have Startle, which is one of the kind of premier tricks in these style of decks. If you get your Festival Crashers into combat, you really just don't want them to die. and their attack is typically good enough, but the defensive elements are not. But here I'm going to go with the Phantom Carriage. It seems like we're kind of pushing ourselves towards being a more like control-y style blue-red deck as opposed to the aggressive Festival Crashers deck. We just haven't seen any Festival Crashers up to this point, so it makes it kind of hard to do. And then the second thing I want to stop and consider is what if we end up, say, playing like blue-white with a splash of Seize the Storm and Moonrager Slash. I'm not completely opposed to that kind of ideal. As we have a pack with no good blue or red cards in it, we're going to be taking the Morning Patrol here. I don't want to, forget that we have these white cards. And then we saw tons of Sacred Fires in the previous pack. Maybe we do end up in this world where we splash, Sacred Fire, Seize the Storm, and Moonrager Slash, because they're all quite powerful cards. I think I'm okay with this, adding in the Slash. I don't want to play the Harrier or the Infiltrator. These are fairly awkward sets of cards we're getting stuck with here. Okay, so these are problematic. The big thing I'm looking at here is we have Evolving Wilds. Then there's also a Baithook Angler. Baithook Angler is going to be quite important here. Our curve is kind of abysmal at this point, and I'm getting like more and more to the inkling that we're going to be playing blue-white and then just maybe splashing red. I think we just kind of have to take the Baithook Angler here, though. I think it's going to be the safer one, as we're kind of unsure where we're going to land. Gale Drifter is a very easy pickup, but we're getting to pick 8 in pack 2 as the Skrillex Seize the Storm show up. Oh man, I was like, we haven't seen any of like the true build around cards, and so I feel like we're pushing more into blue-white splashing red, and I think that's just gonna be kind of where we're stuck. I'm looking to pick up the Candlegrove Witch here. We just don't have the build around support capabilities for the Festival Crasher deck. Here, let's add this Otherworldly Gaze. I do kind of feel like, though, we might be splashing. And so, like, if we Startle Tables, nice. If we kind of keep that in mind, we have the Sacred Fire, we have like the Moonrager Slash, the Seize the Storm. As we are able to kind of come out here and discard some of these as well, then we could potentially get some bonuses that way. This Candlegrove Witch, it feels painful to come in and take something like that. So let's move these. Let's go back to moving these red cards out this way and moving the white cards back into the kind of main board area. It's like we're kind of looking at you. Painter coming out. Sacred Fire. Seize the Storm. Okay, and then why not just play 3 colors, right? We pick up Rim. No, we're not going to be doing that here today. This is a pretty strong Devoted Graphkeeper. One of the kind of premier Disturb bros. Happy enough to pick him up. I do want to kind of like keep my eye open for things like Jack-o'-lantern or even the 4-drop Scarecrow thing that taps for lets you cycle some of your mana. I do still see this world where we end up wanting to play some of these red cards. We could realistically play things like Mystic Skull. I'm not really amped about that kind of idea, but if we're going to be out here trying to fix our mana, that might be something we're required to do. But with a pack like this, I'm happy enough to pick up Soulgriff Guide. I think our top end isn't too stacked out here. I don't really want to be taking considers in a space like this, and it is a spirit, which plays nicely with our Patrician Geist. Okay, so here's the first Festival Crasher. I'm glad we kind of abandoned that deck idea. It's a little too. It's very strong and I really like it, but I don't think we had the tools to get it together. But here I'm going to go with the Candlegrove Witch. Really try and push on this aggressive Flyers theme. What I'm kind of thinking of as far as these red cards go is we're looking to play something like the Seize the Storm and the Sacred Fire, since we can, perhaps play them, but then we have the means to just like cycle them away. Like I don't think I want to be taking the second Moonrager Slash here. That feels fairly greedy. Okay, but another Disturb in the Gale Drifter, quite nice, quite nice. Glad to see some of these flyers make their way back around. Ooh, another one. Sure. All right, well, we don't need any more. I think I'm gonna come in here and just take the Dissipate to make sure that we have a bit of something to do. Like, Dissipate isn't. I would rather this be Flip the Switch, right? If we're gonna try and splash red, I don't want to be playing double blue cards. But I think it's okay. Maybe we just take the Gale Drifter and then don't play Soulgriff Guide. I could see that being a thing as well. Okay, so I think we're also just not going to play red. We're seeing the Jack-o'-lantern here. I'm kind of interested in playing red, but I think we're just going to get punished for it at the end of the day. We're trying to be a much more aggressively based blue-white deck, so I'm just going to come in with the Geist Wave. We're going to be happy enough to have the bounce spell and then just a real gem, a real lucky treat in this Revenge of the Drowned. Good, 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 good. And we're not playing the Stormrider Spirit. Probably will find ourselves playing these Considers, though. We have enough Disturb units for it to be realistically good. Let's see, we want to move these... Oh, Startle? Whoa, almost just started drafting the Uncommons and the Startle came around. We got some like really choice gem cards here in the late game as far as... they're at the end of the draft as far as blue is concerned. It's quite good. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, let me get these red cards out of here. I just don't think that's going to happen. We have reasonable enough kind of removals to survive here. Okay, so yeah, we want the red cards out. Sorry, Red. I was feeling you here today, but I just don't think that that's going to be happening. And I am going to play the 17 land. We've kind of been discussing this here recently. I feel like I've really been struggling with 16. It seems like the kind of consensus among a lot of the Reddit folk was 16, but I still haven't gotten to like evaluating those sources. And so I feel like I've been pretty happy with 17. These Disturb decks have like plenty to do with their mana in terms of just like replaying the Disturb units and having plays like that. So I think this is fine. So as we look at this, I know I'm not going to play the Soulgriff Guide. We'll go ahead and switch it out. I'm going to do the T:(CR) to split these up. Let's see how many units we have. 17. It's a little bit too many. I think we'll end up wanting to cut a Gale Drifter. 3 of the 4 drops just feels like a little bit much. It gets us to 16. Not opposed to dropping down to like 15 or so, but the problem we have here is like a lot of our spells are pretty bad. I mean, if I could realistically see ourselves playing... What do we think in terms of this? If we play 16 land, we play both the Gaze and the 2 Considers. We cut out the Carriage and then bring back the Gale Drifter. So the top of our curve is at 4. We have 2 pieces of Cycle and then 2 sort of, kind of like pseudo Cycle. We can leave a land on top should we need it. I think I'm okay with that idea. If we 16, Carriage out, Gale Drifter in. Need to just come up with 2 cuts. And in terms of the cuts, I'm kind of looking at Silver Bolts. We just, like, for the most part, we're just attacking through the air and we don't care about anything else. I think the bolts can probably go. And in terms of, flying combat, you tend to be having like a lot of 2/2s doing battle with each other, but we have the Gale Drifters to go big, the Patrician Geist for us to grow, and then the Startle to prevent us from having to trade. So I think the Silver Bolt can go. Then if we're going to cut one more card, I'm looking towards the Unblinking Observer. He doesn't really do anything in our deck here. We're not trying to be a ramp deck or a flash deck. I think he can go. We're at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential flyers. So the only kind of like downside to a lot of this is the Candlegrove Witch is going to have trouble flying, right? The only way we have to pop a Coven here is the one Castaway, the one Gavany Trapper, assuming that we have a 2 and a 3 on board. I guess we could technically have a Patrician Geist on board, which would then give another unit a boost. And so maybe like turns our Gale Drifters into a 4 attack. We're never not playing these Candlegrove Witches, but they're not nearly as strong as we would like them to be. But yeah, I think I'm on board with this. Let's get in here and do some battles. Oh. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I know I've mentioned this quite a bit, but it's like if we are only playing people from our own pod, I would feel pretty good about this. I feel like the average quality of these packs was below average. And so if you're only playing against people in your same pod, then uh, the quality of the packs doesn't matter, right? Because you're all within the same kind of ecosystem. But once we get out here into the wild, it kind of sucks having to play against people with potentially stronger card opens. But it is what it is. All balances out in the long run. Okay. So what do we got here? I think we can keep this opponent mulliganed. The question is like, does this hand even really do anything if we draw a plains? I think it's probably okay. If we say like Otherworldly Gaze, put an island in the bin, a plains on top, and another Disturb in the graveyard, that feels like, not not a huge high roll and still a pretty decent deal. No plainses. I think we probably have to hang on to the Baithook Angler. We're playing against black-red, so we're going to want some amount of dudes for the early game. But the Gale Drifter can certainly go. Not a bad bit of value there. Okay. Nothing we can do about that. And then I'm going to go ahead and startle this. It's unfortunate that it doesn't stop any of their Hey, I dealt the damage abilities, but we need to find something. We can't just go into next turn and have our only play be either. I'm actually fine with playing Locked in the Cemetery on this Outlaw, but we can't just have that be our only play next turn. So this was good. I'm happy enough with this. You don't untap. All right, opponent's down to 3 cards. We don't have to worry like too much about their card quality. We just need to come out here and not die. We just milled 2 Disturbs. Oh, not bad. Okay. We don't have any combos for the zombie, so let's go ahead and get the damage in while it's free and open. Hey, here comes the thunder. So I want to start playing like multiple cards. It's very suspect when they have 5 mana and the extent of their plays are vampire interlopers. And so I expect a lot of our units here to be getting hit with midnight lightning bolts and defense rates and stuff. And so I don't really want them to have the opportunity to get big tempo plays. Like if we drop a Gale Drifter and he has a midnight ambush. So we're getting to progressively build up our board here a little bit. Except the foul play. Okay. And we can kind of look to, on his turn, just like flash back the otherworldly gaze and tap his interloper. It's not unreasonable. So let's protect our unit here. We'll protect our Graph Keeper. Add in the component collector. Okay, and I kind of want to draw the planes here. I mean, we have a lot to do. We'll let the consider go and actually want to just draw the planes. I like it. All right, well, I suspect that he's going to foul play. This is an instant, right? Oh, it's a sorcery? Okay. We can do stuff. I mean, burn the accursed, sure. You got it. I had to check the size of our deck, make sure we weren't going to deck ourselves. We got 19 in there. We're looking pretty good. Okay, so we can get rid of the Consider and the Castaway. Feels like we've probably finally just drained them out of cards, but who knows? This is safe. We can play both the Patrician Geist and Morning Patrol out of our graveyard. It'll make it cost one less mana. Yep. Tap it. Okay. Good deal. All right, not bad. Not a bad little first win of the day. I knew we had it in us. All right, so what's going on with this one? We're on the play, lacking a planes. I think it'll be okay. And there's a lot that can go wrong with a hand like this, but we get a lot of bonus draws at the land. Decline. Interesting. I think we'll just run out the Candlegrove Witch and then probably just try to trade it with whatever they play. Not expecting it to get Covened anytime soon. Ooh, okay. Got it, my dude. Oh no, he's out here. That's a little scary. Could block it with everything. Not gonna be worth. Our life total is healthy enough to not worry about those kind of shenanigans. Ugh. So are we willing to take one more? I think that's what this comes down to. I don't think we want to do that. The thing we can do here is like we can go into combat. He can target something with the ability, and then we can Revenge of the Drowned in the middle of combat. So he doesn't get the Coven bonus, and then the Dualcraft Trainer goes on top of his deck. I think that's okay. See if he stops our ability to break a Coven. It auto passed. Crap. So he's going to get the double strike. We should have done that in his main phase. He's covered now, right? If we'd done that in his main phase, it wouldn't have gone to combat and this thing wouldn't get double strike. So we're going to take an extra 3 damage here. Kind of sucks. Startle and Locked in the Cemetery are gone. Yep. So if his angle here is a Flare of Faith, like how bad is that for us? We're most certainly going to block the Morning Patrol with something. One of these Disturb units, it's probably just going to be our Morning Patrol because we want to get another unit down next turn. The question is, can we be like really greedy on this Gavany Silversmith and then try to kill it with Nebelgast Intruder? And I think we can. If we just lose the 2, he started highlighting his land, he's going to Flare Faith us. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna let that happen. We'll just come in and try and prevent the damage with our Nebelgast, and then have the flyer for next turn. Ooh, interesting, it auto-passed. So he probably doesn't have the Flare of Faith. Okay, but we can lead out with the Covetous Castaway now. That's going to give us a Coven. So we can attack with our Candlegrove Witch this turn. We just need to stop and make sure we're not going to die next turn. I don't think we're at any risk of it. We can block with the Graftkeeper. We can block with the Covetous Castaway. We can block with the Morning Patrol. I think that's all fine. This attack will take them to 5, right? The math that correct? This is a total of 7. Take them to 5, so we just need to get in for two attackers next turn. Yeah, this seems safe. Got him. All right, let's see if we can get ourselves back up in the triple-digit rankings. Gotta get up in them triple digits. I mean, there's gotta be 1,000 better drafters than me, right? We haven't played this game for like 6 years. It's gotta be a wide collection amongst everyone on the internet playing Arena. I guess that is true. Like I saw I saw Reed Duke streaming yesterday. He was streaming some Vintage Cube, which I'm not opposed to going and drafting. I love drafting Vintage Cube, but it's on Magic Online. I was like, Jesus, people still play that. Wow, wow. All right, we got a mulligan this one though. This doesn't have any. The previous one we kept was kind of sketch, but it had some prospects to it. This one doesn't even have prospects if the lands fall correctly, and so I'm gonna send that one away. This one's gonna have to be reasonable. Get rid of a land. Want to keep the double island, so we can potentially say like play a 2-drop and a consider on the third turn. Okay. It's the old blue-green with the no-2. Interesting. Not like we have anything really going on, but... maybe we'll get to start attacking next turn. Oh, okay. Not entirely sure what he's up to, but this feels safe enough. He wants to flip the switch our morning patrol. I think that's a pretty good deal. Less good of a deal, but sure. I think it's fine though. There's just too many options that could potentially come out from their hand between flip the switch. I mean, if we got to trade it with a bounding wolf, sure, it's a removal spell. Okay, like there's just tons of cards they could be playing there. I'm not gonna just strictly count the Nebelgast as being their option. Death Bonnet Sprout's gonna be annoying though. I'll help you, bro. You can load up your graveyard. But they mill the land. Watch him. He stalled on 3, and I bet he mills the land. That's the way. That's the way life goes. This is tempting. This is a tempting Geist Wave. Yeah, I think we'll just try and put creatures in our graveyard and save it for a tempo play. If he's out here hurting for mana, I think that's a safe way to go about it. I wonder if he messed that up. He larder zombied and didn't put anything in his graveyard, and then milled the land to the Death Bonnet Sprout. But that was not his intent. Okay, do we actually want to draw any of this? I don't want Component Collector at this point. That can go. I don't think we want to draw any of these. Let's just get them in the graveyard. We can still, like, flash back the Covetous Castaway and then have access to a Consider next turn. That seems pretty good to me. Kind of annoying as a cat. We're having more cat problems today. It's the cat that won't hang out in the videos, but just wanting in and out, scratching on the door. I've got she knows how to open doors, which is, you know, sometimes annoying as a cat owner, but I don't have that style of door anymore, so she can't she can't do it where I live now. But I've had apartments with those handle doors, kind of like flat handle doors, and she could definitely open those. We're definitely getting rid of this Gale Drifter. We'll be better aligned to just start tapping it a turn from now. But I would like to go ahead and return that to hand. And then I think I'm just going to play the Bait Hook Angler and then just start tapping stuff with our Trapper. So now that we've like finally played the spell, we should be able to come in and start doing that. Surprised he's not attacking with that Contortionist troop. Alrighty, we'll wait to play the Consider. I don't. Yeah, he can't flip this this Death Bonnet Sprout anyways, but we're not going to be able to play any cards off the Consider because we most definitely want to be tapping something, and I don't want to just run the risk of losing our considered card. We'll wait till we get a touch more information as well. Okay. You're welcome to attack with the Gale Drifters now. Well, maybe we should have gone ahead and tapped it. It's not like he's going to follow up with a play. Like, this is kind of a more standard play where you let them just attack and then you get kind of like free reign of what you want to tap. But with him only having 3 mana at this point, it's not likely that he's going to play something we would rather tap than the Gale Drifter. We probably should have just done it. Right, because that would be like a non-zero amount of scary next turn. If we were at 13, he's repping like 8 damage coming out of those things, so he could potentially win with like a combat trick or something. Not super likely, but the damage definitely would have been scary. I think that was probably a misplay on their point, not attacking with the Drifter. Should have considered this. Now we gotta we gotta hold control. This is how you do this. I'd much rather be casting this right now. We should have. I held the control button. Like, what more are you supposed to do? I held the button in the entire time. Okay, I guess we're drawing a plains. Go ahead and run it down now. Watch there be like the Spirit Lord in the top 3. Oh, now it's giving us full control. I'm not even holding the button anymore, and it's doing it now. Okay. Moderately frustrating. Oh shit! That thing's still on. That thing's on top of our deck now. I was thinking in my head that we are going to be drawing that. Oh fuck. Now, I mean, we can still play it, but that shit's annoying. So what do we have? 7 mana. Okay. So there is a world where we still lose this game. I'd feel much better about this had the things worked out how we intended. Right? I mean, we're at 17, so we're probably pretty safe. Again, like if he had attacked us down to 13 last turn, and now he has 9, 11, 12, 13 on board, that's a lethal. So I think we got pretty lucky with him not attacking with that Gale Drifter. And then we just kind of ran into some technical issues as far as these cards are concerned. We should have left all of our blue mana open, since that's the kind of cards that we could potentially be flashing back. So we should have been able to play the thing on their turn, and then we wanted to play it on our upkeep, right? So we got to kind of pick and choose what we were getting to throw on the board. Looks like we're still going to win this game, but it was a bit frustrating and sloppy. Okay, so get there at the end. I don't get that. I guess like you just have to click on the stops on the right to make it stop on your upkeep. Like holding control isn't enough. So it's like the control button is for things on the stack, but you have to tell it when to stop at the phases. It's fucking dumb if you ask me. Like I just want to push the button that makes it stop on every phase. Okay, I've at least found these. I turned off auto-ordered or triggered abilities. That should stop our contortionist troop problems. Undid the auto-assign combat damage. I have had some combats to where I'd want to not kill off units, so I think that's probably reasonable. I think these other ones can stay. The other thing that's been kind of frustrating to me is it has all of the hotkeys down here, but I can't switch to F2 and F4 and F8. I guess it's too much to ask to be able to remap a hotkey, and so maybe that fantastic feature will come in the future at some point. Fucking A. Am I just missing it? Right? Typically, you say, I want to pass until response. Then I'll just like click where it says enter here and then switch it to F2. But apparently that feature is too much of an ask. Jesus. 2021 and you can't remap a fucking hotkey. Okay. We'll let the salt move on. We got to get salty about something in every video, I guess, but it's insane to me. Some of these things are just actual insanity to me, that it's 2021 and you can't remap a hotkey. It's something they figured out that would be useful to people back in like 1993. I guarantee you there are devs working on Magic Online that realized remapping hotkeys, that piece of that piece of quality of life improvement was figured out before they were born. maybe that's why they don't know it exists. It happened before they were born, and it wasn't something that they found in their lifetime. Oh, okay, but we got to mulligan this. This is just okay. Well, that one's on me. We should we should have definitely mulliganed this one. I was out here just getting salty and such, and having to send this one back. But all right, we'll make the best of it. We'll just draw an island here before we know it, and everything will go okay. Told you. Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things. I mean, as ugly as Magic Online is, especially compared to Arena, you at least had pretty good control over everything. Like I get the the idea, with Arena, it's much more mobile friendly and the quality of life is a lot higher, but it's like I kind of wish that they had like traditional Magic and then Magic Arena was like like they decided to just take land out of the game and have a Hearthstone based mana system and just be a completely different kind of thing. All right, this is the turn where they'll flip their Delvers just naturally. It's the way life goes. Mm-hmm. I guess we deserve it after immediately drawing that island. We have to deal with these. He has the Geist Wave in hand, and so he can just tempo us out of this game way too easy. I'm gonna go for the startle play here. It's like I know that he has this Delver of Secrets, but we need to be trying to draw land. Wow. Well, see, like I'm not sure like what to tell people to do in this situation. It's like, do you go out and just buy a bunch of scratch off lottery tickets because this is clearly just the luckiest day of your life, or do you feel like you've wasted all of your luck up to this point, and you should just like call it quits, right? If you're gonna play Delver on turn 1 and turn 2, flip both on turn 2, have one activated and then immediately reflip the other one. Like, I feel like your luck is probably, you have to make that decision, right? Have I spent all of my luck for the day, or is this just the luckiest day ever, and do I want to become a scratch-off millionaire? I've never figured that out. I'm not sure the way that that's supposed to go. We'll have to ask Rucky here how they do it. I would like to give him like, $10 to take to the gas station. Just do a little experiment. Just buy like the dollar scratchers, right? But that should give us a good sample size of what's actually happening here. This is going to be painful. He has the tempo spell in his hand to bounce our Gale Drifter, but we can't just like play Startles. That's not in the cards for the turn playing Startle. So I think this is gonna have to be okay. Okay, well, the Morning Patrol at least allows us to play an Otherworldly Gaze on his turn. Hopefully pick up a decent-ish kind of draw. About to run into problems with flyers, though. I don't think Patrician Geist like really does it. But what else? I mean, what else are we going to do here? Let's play the Gale Drifter. If we pick up an island, then we have potential next turn to say like play the Patrician Geist and then Otherworldly Gaze to tap something. Okay. All right, give us that island. Damn. Okay, well we're dead then. Right. Right. Oh, it kind of is what it is. His deck was fine. I just kind of feel like if we'd played that one out, 100 times, I feel like I'm gonna win that one about 70. I feel like that was in like a small portion of the 30% where they just have the ridiculous Delver of Secrets draws naturally. Is what it is. It's tough. I hope he messages us later and lets us know how the lottery ticket experiment went. Because I don't know how that works out. I'm not sure how the plays go. Okay, let's at least try and click the correct mulligan button this game. I think this is a keep. I'm not amped about it. I'd prefer to have a 2-drop, but with a Geist, a board stall, and a Horned Turtle, and another Flyer, I think we can give a lot of decks problems. It's a little scary running our good unit out like right as the first one, but I think it's okay. We have the opportunity to be aggressive here. Then if ooh, just nothing and discards. Oh my man, that does suck. So here, this is slightly awkward. I want to start with the consider. We need to pick up another land. Decline. Okay. So my idea with that turn was we're going to play the consider. If we hit a land, then we just play the component collector. If we miss, then we can still add the Gavany Trapper and then potentially Otherworldly Gaze later and help us try to pick up that land. But I think we're safe and fine now. Got the big damage flyers coming in. We have good blocks with the Horned Turtle. We have the tempo plays with the Geist Wave if he comes out here and tries to play, you know, a Shadow Bee sighting or something. This is all looking good to me. Okay, opponent has recovered from their mana issues, hitting on the farmer and then drawing 2 land. Hoping we're far enough ahead to where it's not that big of a deal. He doesn't seem to have any kind of answer to the flyers that we're presenting, and his attacks are all still Garbo. And so I think this is fine. Oh, he's got black cards in here, huh? Oh, surprise, surprise. Kind of sucks to a degree. My kind of line for the turn was to play the Otherworldly Gaze and then 2 dudes, but alright. How many cards are in our graveyard? 4? So we can potentially, say he has like a Bird Admirer, we can potentially just like tap it with the Locked in the Cemetery next turn. I think this is okay. The Candlegrove Witch is what presents the lethal. So I want to get it down. Baithook Angler can trade with an Organ Hoarder. This is good. We have like the tempo plays out of our hand for the next 2 turns. Okay, I'll take the bait on whatever you're doing. This block's safe as well. We can flash back the Baithook Angler to have a 1 attack on board. To get the Coven for our Candlegrove Witch. So whatever the combat trick is here, I'm fine with it. Thinking long and hard on it. Okay. They started to highlight our Gale Drifter, which is not Not approved of. I don't like that kind of thing. See, there is, huh? Yeah, we should attack with the component collector, I think, because this puts us in a space to where Candlegrove Witch could be lethal next turn. So if he does, weird stuff, and both of these Gale Drifters are off the board, then we could potentially lethal that way. Good, we just get a unit. The Bait Hook Angler becomes a requirement. Play the Trapper. Looks good. Maybe he'll tap out for something relevant here, That's what we like to see. That's what we like to hear. Yeah, I think we're okay. He has to have tons of ways to deal with. He has to deal with both the Gale Drifter, has to deal with the Drifter Candlegrove combo. I guess the way that this could potentially be awkward is. Oh, we were okay, even okay if we lose the Drifter. I thought we were going to need the Drifter to have a Coven, but we have a 0/1/2. Okay. This smells like the 4-mana bounce spell. So the thing we're gonna do, okay, we're fine either way. I want to go to combat and actually get an attack in, right? If his play is to bounce our Gale Drifter, I want to have the Candlegrove Witch already have flying. So we're gonna try to get to attackers and then attack. I have a feeling this is Revenge of the Drowned, and he's going to Revenge of the Drowned our Gale Drifter here. But then we can startle our Component Collector to make it a 0 attack, and then we'll have our 0/1/2 Coven be able to come in with the Candlegrove Witch and the Drifter. Clear shot, same deal. I'm just going to go ahead and startle now. Who knows what the hell this game's going to try to try to kind of make us stop. Boom. There you go. Startling your own dude for the win. Welcome to playing with Bust. GG. Right, the next battle is upon us. Against the old Johnny avatar. Got it. So what we got here? Seems like a reasonable keep. Slightly scary on the play because we need the third land for this to pop off, but I think it's fine. We've kept sketchier hands in the past. Let's go with the Candlegrove. It's the more aggressive unit. We can threaten to attack next turn and potentially startle. So if we need to startle, be okay with it. We'll keep these kind of value-y options open for a hot minute. Not a lot we can do here. We have to just attack. Could have... oh, it's an opponent controls. Can't make our sweet startle play on this turn. But I think this is fine. We need to play a card this turn. So I'm again kind of like looking to startle. But if he doesn't... I'm just definitely not passing it the next turn and letting the Shady Traveler flip into 4/4. Okay. Let's see who can win the race. Oh, and it's hurting for mana as well. I think we're probably just like one big tempo play away from winning this game. He attacks everything, takes to 13. Not a big deal. If he taps out for a dude here, we can either send it back to his hand or add another bro to the board. The only question I think we have is like, can he lethal us next turn with what he has on board? Which would be 4, 7, 9 damage. Technically, but we can try and block 4 damage next turn, so I think we're safe in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, I think I feel pretty good just adding Gale Drifter. He's gonna need like 2 removal spells and then a way to deal additional damage. He can't just do that with the mana that he has on board. Would like to try and ensure the lethalness of our attacks next turn though. So we should be okay just like losing 1 unit. Like if we just lose like he either has to like spend money to kill Gale Drifter. Yeah, I think this is all just fine. Lock here. Got him. Where are we at? We getting ready for this final battle? Is that what life brings us today? No, we got another one to go. Pre-final battle. All right, I'm ready. Oof. Whew. You can bless having a spell by entering the control mode, pushing the control button, which apparently didn't work for us. Why does this Chandra look different than ours? I don't like fire hair Chandra. That's kind of scary, but huh? Is that what happens? No, it's just a different one. But this hand has potential for problems. We're counting on this otherworldly gaze to do quite a bit of work. But I think being on the play and having the potential to hit a 2-drop across 4 draws is pretty nice, so I'm willing to risk it. Okay, play the Graph Keeper out of this. We lost our lord. Our Patrician Geist is out of here. Is that what, your Patrician Geist, right? Yeah. The graveyard is an unfortunate place for you to be. So what does this indicate? Is he gonna just play a Cathar? Either just a tap or a no play or a Cathar Commando? Happy with any outcome here. Okay. So if he has like a no play, what do we think of that? It would likely be like a Nebelgast Intruder. Like Nebelgast Intruder is annoying. Oh, he's got a party captain. Okay. Ooh, that's always a dangerous attack. I get what you're about and what you're doing, but that's a dangerous one. Okay, I was gonna say the Nebelgast we can kind of just like deal with. If he flashes it out, we can tap it with the Otherworldly Gaze. But this is fine. Got one of our own coming up. How do we feel about this? It's like I kind of want to draw all of these cards. So we need the land. I could see getting rid of Geistwave. Probably not going to be doing too much here, and we do have a Revenge of the Drowned on our hand, but I do want to draw both the land and the Nebelgast. Well, it's like these cards all play well together, right? If we're at 5 mana, we can both Nebelgast and Geistwave, but being at 6 mana doesn't really do us anything unless we like have the Geistwave or we go up. This is awkward. Let's get rid of the land. It'll be 2 turns before we can draw one, though. Okay. Interesting. Right, this is the kind of the space we're about to pick up the Geistwave, but say opponent plays a land, plays a Gale Drifter on their turn, then it's like we want to be able to both use our Gale Drifter, or I'm sorry, like play our Nebelgast Intruder in combat, but then also be able to like Otherworldly Gaze. These plays kind of like leave themselves without the access to land. Opponent got a big decision on their own. What do I keep with the Organ Hoarder? Flip the switch and Fading Memories. I'm bringing Squad. If he wants to trade the Organ Hoarder for the Graphkeeper, I'm kind of fine with it. Excuse me, and that lets us also get some powerful plays on the next turn. If we draw land, we can do this thing again where we flash back the Graphkeeper and have a Geistwave. Oh, we get to all attack? Okay. We do have the options in here as to where we can like bounce the Trapper before he gets the opportunity to tap our Nebelgast Intruder. But I think we're okay with next turn with potentially just like tapping something with our Devoted Graphkeeper. So I think this all's fine. Is it 11 on board? 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. We'll let this happen. We'll just tap something at the end of his turn or try and tap multiple things given the chance. Oh my god. Come on. Fucking cats, am I right? Okay. Let's see what opponent does here. We're looking to Geistwave away the Gavany Trapper, because that means that we can tap something on the next turn. Right? If we try to tap it next turn, then he can tap something of ours back. That's not that good. Now let's see what happens here. I think we're gonna have to go for lethal, and then leave the Graphkeeper back. The problem that we run into is if he has like a startle. Well, what do we lose to, and what do we beat? Right? If he has a bounce spell, which is what I think is most common here. There's not like a whole lot we can do about any of this, but we can beat something like a flare of faith, or we can beat any of the combat tricks. Just like how deep do we want to go in the event? Just like a little bit too far behind, but I think we have to present a lethal here. The problem is if he can like kill us on the crackback. Let's start with the Otherworldly Gaze. We can tap his dude, and then if we hit like a bait hook angler or something, then we have a lot of potential here. Oh, we just have the Candlegrove Witch. Oh, I thought we were going to draw it. We should have just milled that as well. Now, see, the problem with this is we get lethaled by a combat trick, right? If he bounces our Graphkeeper, we're dead. But if we only come in for 6 damage, and he... I think we can only come in with the 1. Right? Because if we come in with 2 units, that sucks so much. We're so far behind in mana now. Oh no! Oh, that's a disaster. That's a disaster. It's a double disaster. I thought the trade was bad enough. Him getting to keep the unit. I think we've just lost this one. Yeah. Damn. That was good. You could kind of see in that turn how important it could have been to actually hit the planes. I wonder if we should have just attacked with, instead of attacking with the Gale Drifters, if we just attack with the Graphkeeper. That would have been kind of interesting. Because if it gets traded on, we at least get a unit back out of it. Ooh, that's tough. And then I think we did okay without having the land, though. There was like a couple of spots in there where we would have preferred to have had the land. But it wasn't really... It was kind of painful on that last turn where we couldn't play 2 cards. We couldn't play the Revenge of the Drowned with these other things. Oh my god, fucking annoying cat. Love her greatly. She can be annoying. Okay, so what do we got here? I guess that's a keep. Got a curve and the mana to play him. Opponent goes to 6. Gale Drifter.deck out here. Look out. It's gonna startle us. Okay. You're trample, right? Trample, not menace. Okay, well, I'll offer it all up. Sure. This is going to be a choice startle, I can already tell. I can already feel it. Okay. Dude's got a lot of zombie tokens. That's that's for certain. I did the mathematics on his zombie token status. It's at a lot. But I mean, it always feels good to be up at 20 health against a Thermo Alchemist deck. Which is lots of time to come in here and just wait. Skrillex is fairly problematic, though. We don't have any like real removal in our deck. We just have bounce spells, and so we're gonna have to get clever with our answers, unless we find the singular locked in the cemetery. That's some ways to do stuff. What more do you want than ways to do stuff? I'm not as excited about like Nebelgast Intruder against the guy because he can just come out here and grow it, but I think I definitely want Revenge of the Drowned. Let's get it going this way for now. This feels like a really dangerous place to be tapping out. And now that we have Component Collector, we can potentially just get the flip on our own, or at least get a tap on our own. If he wants to play 2 spells on his turn, it shuts down the Skrillex for a while. Or if we flip it today, there's a world where he can't play a card. So happy with all those outcomes. We're getting rid of the gaze and the island. The question is, do we want to have the consider so that we can potentially flip it today next turn? I think I'm okay with that. We can still play cards otherwise. I think this gets flipped to switched quite frequently, or devious cover up, whatever. It's going to get countered, I think. Oh, cool. Everybody but the zombie. I don't think there's too many punishes for this. Yep. All right, chunk of damage number 1. Decline. We want the bounce spell. Thermo Alchemist is like the actual worst target for for the Component Collector. Well, we've got our 11, as long as he doesn't have a burn spell of any kind. I'd rather play the Locked in the Cemetery, though. Cool. Alright. Final battle. One shot at it. That's all you get. It's like being back in Expedition. Get yourself to the end. You get one shot at greatness. We're used to it. We're used to handling the pressure of the final battle. I like that system a little bit more of the 2 losses or the 1 shot at the final battle as opposed to just 3 losses in general. It's kind of felt like the the games where variance hits you weren't as painful because it's like if you got a win and then everything kind of reset. Whereas with these the losses forever. So we definitely had definitely had trials go to 13 games, give the viewers the full amount of value, but it's not something we can do here. That's what it is. All right, reasonable enough curve here. These hands do kind of worry me in the sense that they don't have like a lot going on. We don't have a lot of card advantage here. We're going to empty out our hand quick and then have to just draw something, but we can't mulligan a hand with a curve and a removal spell in it. I almost forgot you even existed, Patrician Geist. It's been so long since we've seen you. We just milled you away before, but I know you're ready for action now. This is never blocked. We can't block their thing, so we might as well just go ahead and play the Patrician Geist. He's like, come on, bro, push the button. There is no world where you block this bait hook angler. All right, the world's big decisions happening here. But I mean, we even have a good, this is decent Nebelgast onto this thing. If we get to ace one of their card draws, so we could certainly do worse. I was just kind of intending on locking it in the cemetery, but we'll see how that plays out. Discards Sarah Angel and takes the flip. I'm gonna take the aggressive play here. I'm just going to look to play the Nebelgast Intruder on the werewolf next turn, and then try and be aggressive. Right. This is like the way that this is like ultimately really bad for us is if we say play locked in the cemetery on this turn, and then they have the flip the switch and they get to keep their tempo plays up. Like that is pretty disastrous for us. Okay. But we can handle that with our own. Can't handle it per se as much as oh, we need no blocks. Interesting. Okay. Well, that does change things. Why would he no block? Is he just worried about a combat trick? Interesting. Double interesting. It's going for the long game here. Hey, let's see if we can get it. Our draw here is lacking in the land department. Just kind of painful. Right, so he's going to get a loot. But otherwise, it's not that bad. Not that bad. I do need to figure out how to make it stop on our upkeep. This is how we do it. Push this button. the silversmith. Okay. Well, we are looking to stop. The question is, do we want? I don't think we can do this. I don't want to play the gaze in the upkeep. It's just like if we draw a land, everything is okay. But I don't want to not. I don't want to risk not drawing the land. Like we can tap stuff on his turn now. With our trapper, we can still otherworldly gaze at the end of the turn. I think this is okay. We're still doing good in terms of racing here. The only place where this is kind of unfortunate is in terms of if he adds a flyer to the board. I can't tell if he's played a land a land or not this turn. He can play the Shield Geist kind of either way, but it's kind of scary. How does he have so many cards in hand? This is insane. I guess he's discarded. It looks like a lot more because he's discarded 2 Disturbs, but man. Gonna get to add the Chaplain of Alms. Yep. I would like to play the gaze. have it rolling around the screen. Sure. Okay, so I mean, I think I feel pretty good about just tapping the Shield Geist, and then if he doesn't block with the Trapper, we're not, exactly at lethal. It will be a problem for next turn, but I think that's our way out here. We can't just sit around on this board, right? He's going to get too much bigger than us too fast. So let's tap this thing. Yeah, I have to pay another mana, which not awesome as we are suffering the mana woes. But we're never winning a long game here. We have to get this damage in. Ooh, and he takes all of it? Wow. Wow. That gives us some potential outs. This Chapo Shieldgeist is ultimately going to be a real pain in the dick. We just don't have the mana to deal with that thing. But we're close to being able to win here. So this takes us to 6. We're going to take like a guaranteed 3 next turn. He gets to add in Sarah Angel. Not good. Don't get me wrong. This is not good. But I don't think we're going to get to attack on our turn. He's going to have 2 flyers and we can't do anything about it. But on his turn, we can look to say like Revenge of the Drowned and maybe make a play happen. The Graph Keeper is why I was kind of curious if I should perhaps not play the Otherworldly Gaze out of our graveyard, and now we're getting kind of punished for it. I think we do want it. We can still get a tap out of it next turn, and it will be kind of like a surprise tap. So I'm kind of envisioning this world where we'll go to combat. Agree? No. I think I might have messed that up. We needed a land for this to kind of work as well. Well, let's see what he does. Maybe he'll do something dumb. Oh, this is going to punish us. We can't flashback the gaze and tap something because We don't have the mana. Yeah, that was a real problem playing that one out of our graveyard. F. So now we can't tap anything either. I think we still have to play the unit. Like we have to be ready to block next turn, but I think that was the thing that's gonna end it for us. Right? If we were able to tap something on his turn by surprise. Wouldn't be by surprise, he'd know that we could do it, but put on top, no. But yeah, I think we were just like we so close. If we had one more mana, we'd be okay here. We probably milled away a land when we shouldn't have, but them's the cuts sometimes. So do we have to block 3? Is that where we're at? You can tap something. All right, this one's done. Damn. Too bad. Too bad. But not a bad draft. Not a bad draft. The Disturb deck came together well enough out of that. So let's get it pulled up. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward blue-white deck. Not a whole lot of interesting and compelling things going on with this one. In large part, if you want to draft a blue-white deck, just the first and foremost thing you can do is just take every card that says Disturb on it. That gets you pretty close to what you're looking to do here. But the kind of like side things I like to do is I typically consider it to be kind of a blue-white flyers deck. I tend to have much more success with the where I'm not focusing on picking up Chapelgeists and the 1/1 that the Soul Wardens. They're good. There's a lot of decks that just can't really beat them, but those aren't really kind of like the Disturb cards that we're looking for. That's not where kind of like the big payoff is, in my opinion. The ones I'm really looking for are, of course, hitting an uncommon like Devoted Craftkeeper, but then more so the Gale Drifters as the kind of bread and butter Disturb that you're going to add to your deck. And so you can take it that way, just go where you just look to draft all the cards that say Disturb on them. But I do find these drafts to where you have to pivot out of Disturb into blue-white flyers, or you have to pivot into blue-black flyers, or even you can even make really aggressive like tempo decks with blue-green where the flyers play okay. But if you end up in this situation to where you've loaded up on the one cost cheap burrows, then I kind of find that the pivots aren't as good, right? The green white coven decks don't really want those 1-drops. The red white decks don't want the 1-drops. The white black decks are kind of okay with it, but they're typically looking for like generated zombies to be their sacrifice outlets as opposed to spending real mana on creatures. And so they have their places, but I think that if you end up with a pile of Gale Drifters, that you can pivot into real decks, as to where if you have that the white part of the Disturb stack, the pivots aren't nearly as good. So that's kind of the way why I think I end up more frequently in decks like this. I know as we go through like the draft, we'll see a lot of those like Soul Warden kind of cards, and I know that we run into a lot of games to where the Soul Wardens just beat us, and we have these races. Like a lot of these games were just straight races, and it plays fantastically. But it's not something I typically go out of my way to find. Maybe that's why I don't end up in Disturb as frequently as many other people do. But that is kind of the strategy I like to take, is saying like, okay, well, we aren't drafting Disturb, we're drafting blue-white flyers on the backs of our Gale Drifters. So I think that's kind of the big thing. Otherwise, you really want to try and pick up some of these the removals where you can. It's at a real premium here. So if you're finding Oblivion Ring, then by all means dive in head first. Otherwise, you're typically just relying on Nebelgast Intruders. These tend to show up reasonably, and then you're counting on Startles. Startle is your big combat trick of choice if you're able to turn a trade into a win and put a damaging unit on the board. Just Startle kind of just does it all as far as a lot of these decks are concerned. And so he is the premier removal. Well, I guess the premier trick: pick up the removal where you can, and then try and say, okay, well, if I'm going to be a blue-white flyers deck, how do I want this deck to look? And so I tend to play, I think, a lot more component collectors than people typically do, and then Covetous Castaway also kind of doubles up in here nicely. Before we just move on to the draft, I think that's where the more important things are here, or the more interesting things, I should say. I do really kind of like stacking the otherworldly gazes in here. The way these really pop off would be with Delver of Secrets. I know we got salty towards Delver of Secrets guy earlier, but that was just him doing it naturally. It's very easy for us to find these curves where we play, a Delver on 1, something like a Candlegrove Witch on 2, and then on turn 3 we play a Bait Hook Angler with an upkeep to Otherworldly Gaze. It gives us a way to really pump out those Delver of Secrets by trying to put spells on top of our deck. And then you could see the card was pretty reasonable here today. If you get to put a good card on top, a Disturb in your graveyard, and get rid of a land you don't want, it's... in that scenario, it feels kind of like as good as drawing a card. There's a lot of times where a gaze doesn't feel as good as drawing a card, but getting to play it twice and having those kind of things add up gets you in the space to where it kind of feels worth it. And then if you're able to add the additional combos on top of it, like Delver of Secrets or Devoted Graphkeeper, then you have a pretty powerful type ability there. So yeah, interesting little deck. I guess the ways that some of these spells go, I do think that the Unsummon is your preferred bounce spell. I like Geist Wave a little bit more than Revenge of the Drowned, just in the terms that it's being cheaper. But you got to kind of take what you can get here. But all right, yeah, let's take a peek at this draft real quick. This was an odd draft. I thought we navigated it okay. It just felt like the beginning of this draft was fairly weak and not a whole lot of direction to where we could go, right? The kind of strategy we talk about over and over again is we like to draft Esper. In terms of one color, we like to land in one Esper color and then one of red and green. But we don't really like to start out here at the beginning with red and green. We want some time to let the draft kind of materialize and let us see which of those is open. And so I'm not really amped about starting with Seize the Storm, but it is powerful enough to do so. We're not starting with Consider. We're not starting with Candlegrove Witch. Grizzly Ghoul is the kind of card we want to pick up between picks like 7 and 10. Just let us really know that green-black is open. This is a card we should be able to wheel. And so it's like, well, if we're not taking green, we don't want the Farmer. We don't want the Liberator. We're not taking the Candlegrove Witch because it's just too weak. It's just the Seize the Storm is what's here. I think this is still the strongest card in the pack. If blue-red does come together, it plays quite well. So then here in pack 2, I do see an argument for just taking Flesh Taker. It is an incredibly powerful card, and it is kind of one of the key build-around components to the white-black control deck. I just don't, again, I don't like leading out with this. It takes a lot of work to get these Flesh Takers going. And so if we'd taken a white or black card in pack 1, or if, more ideally, if we started with Defense Straight or Eaten Alive or Good Black Uncommon, then this becomes a very easy take. But I think when we start with a red card, or even if we say started with an Organ Hoarder, I don't think we'd want to be taking Flesh Taker. I think in that example specifically, Organ Hoarder, I would still want to take the Castaway. But the Castaway gives us lots of options, right? It plays well in Disturb, it plays well in blue-green, it plays well in blue-red. Just a lot of things that this can tie into the Seize the Storm with, and we aren't missing out on too much by not taking a Flesh Taker, especially if we're looking to draft Esper, and we don't have any of the Esper pieces with the Flesh Taker. Feels okay. What wheeled out of this one? I'm quite curious. The Ghoul did wheel, and then in here, nothing particularly good. We got the Gaze out of it though, not bad. So in pick three, again, we talked about Sacred Fire in the draft. This is very much the same as Grizzly Ghoul. This is something I want to try to wheel, or I want to try and pick up, pick 7 or 8 right at the tail end of the draft, whereas doesn't feel like a card we need to be taking at third pick. And so, still, after that card, though, there's not very many good cards here. We could take the Stolen Vitality to try and push ourselves into Festival Crashers, but Festival Crashers doesn't play well with Seize the Storm, and we're typically trying to wheel the Vitality, and that just leaves us with the Morning Patrol. Not an exciting pick, but it has Disturb, plays well with the Castaway in that sense. Pack 3, fairly weak, but the Nebelgast Intruder plays well in both blue-white and blue-red. Happy enough to take it amongst a bunch of turds. Let's see, but this is what I talk about with like the Lunark Veterans. Yes, like it's easy to see that the Lunark Veteran is much weaker than Nebelgast Intruder, but there's a lot of cards that end up taking over this guy to where he doesn't make the cut. Okay, and then I'm happy with the Spellrune Painter. At the end of the day, we would have wanted Startle. I thought we ended up like wheeling Startle anyways, but the Painter, if we do end up in blue-red, plays fantastically. So I felt like that was a strong take. This is a very high-powered card, especially if red is open. The Consider is fine, plays well in blue-white and blue-red. Again, we're not taking... We can pretty easily say we're not drafting Boros at this point, I think. So I think it's fine to let that go. Trapper is the only playable. We're getting into some real turds in here. The Abandon the Post plays well with the Spellrune Painter deck, and then we're back to the rest of the turds. So yeah, that was a fairly weak set of cards. I think the Patrician Geist gave us like a lot of direction, but it does still play well in blue-white and blue-red. Lets us flashback cards cheaper. It's not just the Spirit bonus. It's the Spirit bonus and this kind of ramp ability. So I think it's fine in both decks. Not missing out. There's nothing else here to really take anyways, but we aren't really finding that place where we just give ourselves a bunch of direction. At the end of the day, I think this is probably the highest controversy level. The most controversial pick, the pick for the most discussion in the draft would be the Archivist compared to the Moonrager Slash. At this point, I still don't feel like it's kind of locked into which deck we're playing. It does feel a little safer to pick up the Overwhelmed Archivist, but the removal spells are at like such a premium, and Moonrager Slash is so good that I think it's worth the risk, especially considering that there is a world where we just like splash the slash. And so I think this was safe. At the end of the day, we would have rather had the Archivist, but I like that we ended up taking him. Here, I'm not real confident that I like this one. If we're drafting blue-red, I think it's okay because there's just so much power in playing Phantom Carriage onto Seize the Storm. It's just a big time late game ender, and then there's even some potential to play like Phantom Carriage onto Abandon the Post to help you just win those games. But there is this kind of distinction in blue-red as to are we playing Festival Crashers or are we playing blue-red grind amount spells kind of thing. And it looks like, given the cards we have, we're playing like the grind amount spells kind of thing. So I think the Carriage is okay. I think if we're playing the Festival Crashers deck, we don't want anything to do with the Phantom Carriage. So I think this was okay here. There's also a world where we want to play the Carriage in blue-white. I'm starting to consider more whether or not I'd rather just have like Triscatophile. Just a nice early game blocker. He plays terrible in Festival Crashers, but it does look like we're piecing together a blue-red control at this point. And then there's, of course, a Startle. And so I think this was not a good pick. I think we probably should have just gone for the rare, right? This is kind of like a little mini Horn Turtle. We could have, in the blue-white deck, we could have played this over top of something like the Horn Turtle, the 1/4 for 3 mana, but I don't know if we ever get to activate that ability, though. I think we only had like 1 game or 2 games where we've been over 5 mana, so it's pretty tough to find the time to activate this. This might have realistically just been a Startle pick, though. It's tough. Startle playing well in both decks. But I think, kind of around this point, we should just say we aren't playing Festival Crashers, right? As we haven't seen any up to this point. We just don't have access to it. I think Sacred Fires are fine. Like if we end up in blue-red control, having the flashback removal spells are good. They took Angler's an easy one. Gale Drifter's an easy one. Yeah, I think we're pretty well locked into blue-white at this point, as this other Seize the Storm shows up right at the very end. But yeah, I think we're locked in. Don't think too much wield. Oh, the startle wield, that was big. I remember getting a very late startle. And then yeah, not too much the remainder of the way. We know we're in blue white, so we're taking the gold card, Turdy pack, Candle Grove Witch over some generally weak cards. This is another space where maybe we should be looking at startles and flip the switches. Can't remember what our curve exactly looked like at this point, but again, the Candle Grove Witches aren't really high powered in this deck. It can be hard to hit a coven with our units of choice here. Yeah, not bad. We weren't ultimately successful in the end, but got to the final battle, converted our 10,000 gem or 10,000 gold into 1,800 gems. Not a bad day. So yeah, let's crack these packs open. This should just be more gems, and then we'll call it a day. Gold card, nice. Give me them wild cards. Ooh, and a mythic. Maybe we're not gonna get the 20 gems. Welcome Lear. There's the gems. Put the rare wild card over to the whatever this thing is. But see, yeah, we got 19 rares, 7 mythics. We can pretty much like craft anything in standard now. Haven't been playing much constructed since Worlds ended, but oh, another mythic, interesting. We started picking up like the blue red lands at the kind of tail end of our constructed adventures, so we could pretty much make all of the. We have the cards for like all of the dragon based decks, have all the cards for mono white. Mono, like we would have to kind of make a decision as to do we want to play mono green or do we want to play a epiphany deck. I don't think we have the rare wild cards to kind of do both of those, but we're pretty close to. We could definitely pick or choose one deck and just craft everything in it, and then still have the options and what we have going on here. So not bad, not a bad day. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the draft. You maybe got disturbed at our luck somewhere in or out along the way. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.